You may have heard on the news recently that global coffee prices in 2025 are at the highest they've ever been. And this was confirmed yesterday by an email from my importer to tell me that raw coffee is now 400 cents per pound. I've never known it to be this expensive. So this feature will talk about how my business will work through this period, some of the strategies that I will employ, and I'll also try and paint a picture as to why we are where we are and where we may get to throughout the next part of this year. So where are we? Well, we're somewhere near the top. We are at the top. 400 cents per pound. I mean, in all of the years that I've worked within this industry, roasting coffee, buying coffee, selling cups of coffee, I've never known it to be this expensive. So will it get any higher? Quite probably. It is a soft commodities market, and who knows where these things are going to go. Now, this pricing is absolutely pinned on a physical product and the value of that product, the scarcity of the product, and that's one of the metrics that will come to fruition over the coming months as agronomists within Brazil will assess the potential of the new harvest, and from there we'll get a better assessment as to what the pricing structure may be throughout the rest of 2025. So how did we get here? Well, if you didn't know, coffee is the seed of a fruit, and a fruit is the result of flowering from a plant, and a plant grows because of the environment in which it sits. And if the environment is a good one, you'll get plentiful harvest, plentiful crop, and we as humans, the people who consume that crop, will have a good time. Now, what's happened over the past few years is that there have been poor harvest. There has been a lack of volume, there has been a lack of physical size, and the result there is that more seeds need to be put into a sack to achieve a given weight. So all of this is having a cumulative stress effect on not only the plant, but of course everybody in the supply chain that surrounds that plant and relies on it as a source of income for their households. There's also been other issues like geopolitics, and we're still, I believe, feeling the long-tail effects of the COVID period, whereby lots of the global haulage infrastructure are in the wrong places at the wrong time still, even though we are some years past that global event. The other very important thing to mention is the trend of coffee drinking today. There are very many more people who are consuming coffee in the global marketplace, and more of those people are seeking a higher quality product. We in the specialty industry shouldn't necessarily see a crossover between the commodities market or the C market and where we sit in the specialty market, but we do. Whatever happens in soft commodities will have an impact in specialty. So what's the outlook for this year going to be? Well, I'm just about to land my very first consignment of the new crop of Pantano, our big, large product that we purchased from Brazil, a container's worth. Now those prices will be locked in for predominantly the rest of this year. So once I've got a fixed sterling price, that will be locked for a 12-month cycle. However, in April, the agronomists in Brazil will be making an assessment of the 2025-26 harvest. And at that point, I'll have a better understanding about what the latter parts of Q4 of 2025 will be, and whether or not I need to be pulling in more price increases towards the end of the year, or whether I can stick to a fixed price throughout the whole of the year. So that brings me neatly into what's my business response going to be, and I'll illustrate by focusing on Pantano, our core product, the product in which we buy that one container for, so it's 320 bags. Actually, this year it's probably more like 300, just to mitigate some of those things. Anyway, that's by the by. So let's focus on Pantano. I'm going to have my benchmark as last year's price, so that is sterling in kilos. And then I will have this year's new price, and there's obviously going to be a difference between the two. I might choose to pass on that whole difference between both last year's pricing and this. I might, however, decide to wear half of it and release half back a little later down the year. And I'll tell you my thinking behind that now. On the back of these retail bags, we have a strapline that says exceptional everyday coffee. And it's the everyday coffee bit that is so intrinsically important to this business and what I feel every coffee business globally. We have a product that is consumed every day. If I chase to higher profit margins and I'm not sensitive to the overall structure globally, our product may be consumed only on special occasions, and that would signal a death knell to our business. I want you to be able to drink exceptional coffee every day. The definition to me of exceptional coffee and our buying floor within the business is 83 SCA points. There are a couple of occasions where I may drop below that for a couple of farms that produce delicious coffee in the 82 spectrum, but most of our coffee starts at 83 and I sort of cap out at 86.5 and 87. Inside of those quality bands, I can deliver what I feel is exceptional coffee, priced such that you can consume it every day. Right, James, stop waffling. You've set your stall out, you've given everybody the reasoning behind price increases, so tell people what. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to allocate our core products to a lower gross profit margin than I would usually do. So therefore, my business is going to wear somewhat of the price increase to make sure that I can stick to the exceptional coffee every day statement within the company. There are going to be some products that will continue with our targeted gross profit margin, and we will sell those at market prices. Of course, when I'm green buying, I've got to make sure that I'm leaning into areas of the world that present value. And value to me is where you can get good SCA points, so high quality coffee at a reasonable price. Our commercial clients will need to wear somewhat of the price increase too. So I will pass on some of that uplift in raw product costs through to our commercial customers. It's important to do that because that's the volume of the business. If we don't get our commercial pricing right, it can really hurt the business through time because of the volume purchasing mechanisms. Which means then that the retail customers that we have will somewhat wear most of these price increases, notwithstanding the tiered approach between core products and those that are our seasonal offerings. Inside of that retail makeup, I'm going to allow our subscription model to be the tightest margin for the business. I want to give those people who have set up recurring purchases the best value. And for anybody who's watching, if you want to access really delightful coffee at the best pricing structure and also the most convenient, sign up to our subscription program. There you'll get some stonking coffees for a fantastic price. Now, I've told you about the pricing structure and how I'm going to tier things, where I'm going to have coffees that are in our core range and a lower GP, and those that sit in our seasonal offering that will have our target gross profit. I am not going to attempt to profiteer from this episode. I'm going to make sure that we stick to our exceptional coffee every day strapline. So what other things can I do? Run a good business, that's what I can do. I am very fortunate that I run and have run now a heritage business over this past 15 years. We are entirely self-funded. I have no debt within the company, so I have nobody who is telling me what I need to sell, how I need to sell it, what margins I need to sell it at. Every decision that is made within this company sits on my shoulders and under my direction. That's really important. It means then that I can run as tight a business or a looser business as I please. And in this episode, I am going to choose to run a much tighter business. We run lean on headcount. I probably do the job of 2 or 3 men. I work very long hours. I do an awful lot of stuff. And each of the staff members that we have go above and beyond their role to make sure that this business is a profitable one, which is a healthy business. There are certain mechanisms like making sure that our commercial clients' credit accounts are run correctly. So I will call in monies that is owed to me, that is sitting in other people's bank accounts and not in mine if we've supplied goods. And of course, we're going to not buy things that are not needed within the business. We will continue to invest because investing is incredibly important, and that will be on capital purchases to make sure that the product is better so that you get as good an experience with our company as possible. And then lastly, and most importantly, I will continue to do my best at roasting the best product that I can with the skill set that I have. It is so important to me to be able to deliver on not only financial value, but when you sit and drink a cup of coffee, every sip of that coffee you enjoy, and therefore there is intrinsic value in the thing that you have purchased. That is so powerfully important to me, and that responsibility rests on my shoulders. I must execute delicious coffee from this roaster for you. And that's a nice closing statement to wrap this feature up. I've explained about the pricing currently, where I think it's going to go, why we are where we are, and some of the mechanisms that I'm going to employ within my business to try and smooth out and mitigate some of the very high spikes that we are seeing in the raw level. If you have any questions regarding this, if you want to put forward any suggestions, do let me know in the comments. I hope this video has been somewhat insightful and gives you some reasoning behind, unfortunately, some of the price increases that you'll see in the coming weeks and months. Anyway, until next time, see you.